Hi everyone, welcome back to Lit It Up with Rajeshwari Kalyanam, and we are here with K.R. Meera, the amazing feminist writer. I would call her a woman writer first, and she is from Kerala. All her books, most of her books have been translated into English, and I think people would remember her novel, The Hangwoman. What was it called in Malayalam, ma'am? Arachar. So it is an amazing book, one would call an intensely emotional read, and we will talk to her more about that book and all her novellas and books, stories that are being translated. First, I would like to ask you, why do you say writing is your revenge?
It was a revenge to my own life, because I didn't get a life which I wish for. That doesn't mean that I'm such a disappointed person in life, but living in a patriarchal world, aspiring for equal citizenship, one has to take revenge of one's own surroundings in life. It is quite natural. Writing was the best. Writing was the best and the only way I found to address this.
Ma'am, when you write your stories, especially The Hangwoman, we keep coming back to that whenever your new book is released, we cannot not mention it. So how has been that journey of writing the book? It's an amazing book to read, but how has been that writing, and I think there are two questions into one. What was the inspiration, the reason for writing the book? What have been your experiences that led to the book, plus the whole journey of writing the book? You can talk in length.
Actually, I was planning to write a novel on the women of this country. I just wanted to tell the stories of women who are rendered invisible in history. Because if you look at history, or if you listen to the stories, we find that there are not many stories which tell about women. There will be women characters. Without women, no story is complete. But still, there hasn't been any effort to reconstruct the kind of struggle or the kind of evolution the women of this country were undergoing. So this was, I thought this is my mission, to find out the stories on women. But when I started writing, actually I wanted a job for my protagonist. So I was working as a journalist, and it was naturally I thought of making my protagonist a journalist first. But then I found this 2004 hanging of Dhananjoy Chatterjee. So I thought, okay, that was a parallel thread on which I was working also. So I thought, okay, by combining these two, it will give me enormous opportunity to tell the lives of the women, because it's all about the power of the empowered woman's journey. See, actually our women were granted social power, that is the power to be educated or to do a profession, to follow a profession and all. But still, the transfer of political power had never materialized. Political power is something, the power which allows you to be an equal citizen in a way. That is, it's the power to kill too. So,
like this Hangwoman
and now we understand that never in the independent India a woman is supposed to be doing the profession of an executioner, because the eligibility for being an executioner is that one has to be a man, a male. So this is what made me think that there is a hierarchy of power, and maybe executioner will be the lowest rung of that ladder. And what will happen if a woman dares to step into that level of the power? The whole world will go insane. Yes. And then there will be so this is to follow the journey of an empowered woman, empowered in the quotation. So it was kind of an understanding or quest to understand, or a search for finding out what the real empowerment of an Indian woman means.
Well, when you talk about this power and this whole aspect of the women be able to kill. I think it also boils down to how can a woman kill. I mean,
No, not only that. Actually, it is not a woman killing someone. It is like you are handing over the power to kill. See, you should remember what Simone de Beauvoir has said about power. She has said that we are not trying to snatch the power from man. That is, the women should not try to snatch the power from man. Instead of, we should destroy the notion of power. So that notion of power is not meant for women of this country, no. And what happened to all the women in our history? How many women do you come across when you are studying history or social struggles? No, they are kind of wiped off from the history. And as a result of that, we come across a lot of stereotypes. And I personally think, when I say that writing is my revenge, I'm trying to take revenge to these stereotypes by breaking them. I just wanted to say that, there are all through the history, women were not stereotypes. The stereotypical woman whom we kind of extol as the Indian woman, who has only the milk of kindness, human kindness, is kind of an imagination.
Yeah.
Women are equal citizens. Women, if they enjoy the social and political power, are the same like any man. There's no differentiation.
Also, ma'am, in this present context, when again hangings are, there was a time when actually these hanged men also didn't have a lot of work, and then in that context is when you wrote Hangwoman, where she gets an opportunity to actually hang, and there's a whole lot of drama that happens. So, in the present context, when again we have so many judgments passed, and we have people being hanged for, and then there are people arguing against it and for it because of the acts of crime that they have done. So you bring in this context also into
Actually, this book is not a kind of an argument in favor of hanging. Actually, I have never endorsed that sentence in the book at all.
But what I'm saying is, you brought in that a little argument into the context.
No. The state actually employs that as a tool or as an instrument of power on its citizens. So once it is a reality, or as far as it is a reality, we don't have to say anything for or against it. No, we have to say, of course, we have to oppose that in because it is not suitable for a civilized society. But still, I'm not for death sentence at all. But given a chance, a woman.
But actually, I get the point. I mean, this is the lowest rung of power.
Yes.
And even that given to a woman, how does she deal with it? How does the society react?
Yes, how the world reacts to it.
Yeah,
so it is more not about the pros and cons or the legitimacy of death sentence, but it is about women empowerment, using death sentence as a kind of backdrop.
Yeah. So, and when you write your other books, when you the recent book with the 3 novels, can you talk about that? That Aleph has actually published, yes.
Actually, they are brief novels. And those 3 novels, actually, it is quite painful for me to even to talk about that, because it is so touching. It is kind of shattering for me. In a way that while I was writing those novellas, I had imagined, or I had imagined to experience each and every experience in that novellas. And those days I was quite young, and those days my style of writing was like that. You just kind of burn yourself. Even today it is like that, but those days it was even more intense and even more personal. So these had some autobiographical things also. They all sparked from incidents which moved me tremendously on the personal level. And while writing them, I had undergone great depression. but still it was easier to write them because they were brief novellas. And these novellas where I think they are quite instrumental in helping me gain a lot of readers. So
does this have the story where a woman is abandoned on the road and a girl rather is left on the road?
Yeah, it's not abandoned, and slowly forgetting that tree.
Yeah. So how do you what's the name in Malayalam? Because I want to.
മരത്തെയും മറന്നു ഞാൻ.
That's right.
So tree is a metaphor.
Such a beautiful title, I would say, because I think most of us who have gone through any kind of, it could be even a small incident on the road that has made an impact. And
actually, that happened in my life. One day, my dad forgot me on the road. I was not a very small child, but still, he went with his friends and he just forgot that I was waiting for him. I was studying in the 8th or 8th standard, I think. Then I waited till it was dark. Then I thought, okay, what happened? I was so anxious that I was afraid that something happened to my father because I was waiting there. I never thought he had forgotten me. And I went in search of him. Then I found that he is not there. So I took a bus and I came back home. When I reached home, I found my father hasn't returned. So my mother was very furious. So he came much later in the night. He was partying with his friends. He had completely forgotten me. So it is not that I was in some way harmed physically as the child in that, but it affected me a lot. It affected my relationship with my father a lot because he could actually forget me. No, see, as a daughter, especially a teenager, would imagine that she is the center of universe of her father.
Yes.
And this was kind of a letting down. So painful for someone to. So that was there. I had to write it off from my system.
Again, come back to your revenge and writing.
Yeah. It is not revenge actually, but still, it is in the system. In a way, that is a revenge. Yeah. What you said.
That's what I was just talking to somebody and said, it was.
See, this affects your confidence all your life, no? So that you are someone who could be forgotten by someone you think they won't forget you.
That's why the title is so intense,
Yes.
and I think
Yes.
it takes a lot of time for you to forget.
Yeah.
Or
I couldn't forget
but probably it goes back in your memory. It becomes
So
a smaller memory.
it was kind of rewriting that incident, no? So I was imagining, okay, what would have happened if I were a smaller child? What would have happened if I fell into the hands of someone? Or what would have happened to our family? It's kind of a rewriting of my life.
I think another thing that worked for your novels is that you wrote it in Malayalam, but you found some really good translators. I think the way they translate is amazing.
That all happened because I'm so thankful to my translator and dear friend Dr. J. Devika. She's a wonderful person. She herself is a creative writer. So it is easier for her to imagine in my shoes and then walk all the way with me.
They don't feel like they're translated by the way, the Hangwoman especially.
She's it's all because of Devika. And luckily once Yellow is the Color of Longing and Hangwoman were received by the readers and publishers, good translators came in search of me also. So there was Rajesh Rajamohan and who did Gospel of Judas, and then Minis T.S. Who has done The Poison of Love and The Unseeing Idol of Light. And now there's a new translator, Abrami Sriram, who is doing my next book.
What is that book? I mean, what's
Actually,
the book in Malayalam?
In Malayalam, it is titled Suryane Aninya Oru Stree. It's a biblical usage. So in English, it is approximately a woman clothed in sun. Such a reference to a woman is in there, the book of Revelation. So this book is an experiment after Hangwoman. So Hangwoman is happened in a place which is far away from Kerala, but this book, the story happens in Kerala only, And this is kind of an attempt to follow the footsteps of an empowered woman, so-called empowered, who is a lady doctor, who was born